Welcome to Eternal Paradigm. Together we're uncovering the human experience and exploring physical, mental, emotional and spiritual stories with me, your host, Amy Ravel. Welcome to this episode of Eternal Paradigm. I hope you're enjoying your journey to find you. Before I go into the spiel of who the guest is in this week's episode, and I'm sure you're going to be absolutely cool and wowed by this episode because I love this guest. So let me give you a little bit of a heads up. There are pipeline plans, lots of P's there, for the Eternal Paradigm Facebook group. So watch this space for more information, or I should say listen to this space. There is the Eternal Paradigm Facebook page. And obviously there is the Instagram Eternal Paradigm podcast. So you can find everything podcast related there and more information on how to get access to the EP Facebook group will be made available really, really soon. The other thing that's happening throughout March is that I am going to be joined by some of these amazing guests who have been coming onto the show up until now and who will be joining me in the near future and moving onwards. They're also going to be joining me in Clubhouse, which is the new audio app, which currently is only available on iPhones, but there are plans for it to be released for all phones, so Android as well. I can't get too techie. Okay, this is where I stop. I know about apps and that's it. So you can find me on Clubhouse as well. You can just put in my name because that's how it works. And hopefully we'll connect on there. And I really look forward to hearing you speak in Clubhouse. But for the time being, I'm going to roll it back and bring it back to where we are right now. And it's time for today's episode. I am joined by the amazing Peter. I'm going to let him do his introductions, but Peter and I have connected through our RTT journeys. What's RTT? Later on in the episode, Peter will give you a little bit more insight into what it is, but it is effectively a type of hypnosis that I am soon to be fully qualified to do. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. For those of you who may or may not heard of I call her the legend, Marissa Peer. She is kind of at the helm of the RTT therapy, which is award-winning in its own right. But, she has been working on and developing this whole practice for the last 30 years. So I am incredibly delighted to be able to offer RTT. And also, it's amazing to be able to connect with people like Peter. And in further episodes, I will introduce you to more of my colleagues who are able to offer this to people, to not only, to clients, to really help them on this journey of overcoming health challenges, of overcoming challenges and issues that have cropped up in life. And it's such a fascinating thing to do. So I have my own stories attached to this, which I kind of go into a little bit of detail when I'm speaking to Peter. But ultimately, this episode is dedicated to Peter, and ultimately it's for you, the listener. I hope you enjoy it.
My name is Peter Lee Ching, and I'm from Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
Just tell us again, what is the weather like there?
Oh, actually, it's kind of cloudy, kind of sunny. We still got a little bit of summer here, still enjoying it. We had lots and lots of a little bit too much summer, and at least it's cooling and calming down now a bit, so then we're not all melting in puddles and everything everywhere. So I'm happy about that.
Okay, you're making me a little bit jealous right now because you just said a little bit too much summer. I mean, how is that even possible? What was the temperature high?
I think we had a couple of in the 34, 35 degrees Celsius sometimes, and the humidity was quite hectic. So then you just don't feel like existing really because it's too hot.
Yeah, no, humidity factors are definite no. I'm with you there. But, oh gosh. So we went from like -8 degrees last week to, I think today we're like at 9 degrees. So it's quite tropical here too.
So it's a bit of an upgrade from the previous days.
It really is. It really is. So, Peter, we're here to talk about you and your RTT journey. So, just to give a heads up, you're a bit of a spiritual junkie like me.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd almost say like an addict, a little bit obsessed almost. I like got into it in my teen years, looking into everything, questioning everything, doing all the chakras, going through another thing, going to another thing. So it's more of a junkie sort of thing. Yeah. So it's a bit of like a addiction at a point. And then it's just like telling yourself to just calm down and just pick a few and go from there. But yeah, basically, I'm similar to that. Yes.
I love the way you describe that as well, because it's like, it's not even a case of pick a few things. It's just bring it on. What is there? I'll take it. So where did this all come from? You said that everything was a why, and you really then kind of explored all these different things. And where do you think that started from?
It kind of started from because I was very depressed and all of that when I was younger. One of those that used to sit in the corners and be emo childing all over the place. Uh, Shame not to be dismissive of anyone else's experiences, just because I can look back and think on that. It came from basically a lot of perfectionism in myself, not feeling good enough, and all of that. And it started off with self development. It started with Dr. John DeMartini and all of that. And it was started with basic things of affirmations and looking at yourself and reassessing all of that. And it just really grew from there. And then it was conspiracy theories. The moon wasn't real and all of that. Then YouTube came out. So we were finally exposed to everything and questioning everything. And it just like built up from there. Then it went into meditation, all of that. So that's basically where it all started. Self-development, wanting to improve myself, wanting to be better because I didn't feel good enough in anything really that I did. So that's basically where it all started.
That's an incredibly honest reflection of being aware of where it all started. So can I just ask, is the moon real?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I'm also not one of those that believes we're living on a flat thing and we'll fall off. I'm very much into the regular way of thinking in general.
It's been an explorative process, it sounds like. I love that. So tell me, what stage do you feel that you are at in your soul's journey and in your personal discovery? Because you've touched on how things came about. And where are you at now?
I think I would say I'm still very much at the beginning, but I'm in the beginning of being able to move into a place where I can actually develop, evolve, and because I spent those 15 years from about when I was 14, 15, having Dr. DeMartini, like, okay, I won't use the term I used the other time, but basically getting me into everything and opening me up to the world of self-development, subconscious work, and being aware of all the different things out there. I'm very much, I believe, at the beginning because I finally let it in the past year and a half or two. It's finally sinking in, being truly aware of myself and where I've come from and where I'm going. And I had all these shifts along the way, but they just served as a means of getting me to the proper point of shifting into a new space.
Okay, you're going to have to use the term that you used when we first spoke about this because that is absolute genius. Yeah.
Okay, basically, Dr. DeMartini, bless him, he broke my virginity in personal development. He just like broke me in, so to speak. He like paved the way. Yes. Yes, he took my personal development virginity. Yes.
And that's how it should be, right? So I'm interested, you mentioned affirmations initially as well at the beginning of your journey. If you can share a little bit more about what sort of affirmations, what type, and how frequently were these a part of your daily process? And if you'd be willing to share an affirmation that still sticks with you.
Okay, so it was in one of his books. I can't exactly remember which one it was, but I think it was the 60 days to whatever. It was like in the breakthrough process. I think I bought all of his books when I got pocket money and things for my birthday. Then I thought, okay, I'm just going to buy this. And then it was it was 60 days. I can see the cover now. And it was basically, I'm a genius. I apply my wisdom. I am becoming stronger and better. Looking back at it, it's like very dry and very straightforward because it was just when affirmations and all those things were kicking into the consciousness of everybody's awareness with the internet and everything becoming more available. And then he was one of the not pioneers, but he was the one that reached the South African market. Yeah, and then I would do them daily, but I wouldn't really feel a lot of change, a lot of difference because I had a lot of resistance. And to this day, I still do. And now I'm breaking through that resistance. It was just the process of finding what all of those things were. And I used to go on my walks and I used to walk every day and I used to say, every day and everywhere I apply my wisdom, every day and everywhere I'm becoming better and better. I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom and over and over and over because I was very in the space of performance because I did music. So it was focused on that and being intelligent and being clever and all of that. That was my whole identity. I have to do well in school. So then that's where that was focused on. It wasn't focused on personal development or anything like that. So it was just the repetition daily and it didn't really feel like it was working. I used to write them out over and over. And yeah, at that stage, it didn't really help because I didn't really understand it as such at that stage.
Thank you for sharing that. I think one of the things that you touch on that makes so much sense is affirmations are words, right? Words and statements. And until you can fully connect with them and really resonate and really genuinely see that they are yours and they apply to you.
Yes, most definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I just said them, I just did them, I just thought them, I just wrote them. But I mean, deep inside, I thought I'm stupid, I'm dumb AF, and everything like that. I couldn't relate to it. I couldn't let it in because I had all those blocks and everything at the time because I had a great deal of insecurity and I didn't believe in myself. I didn't feel I was worthy of believing of myself and all of that jazz and everything like that. I was a perfectionist. So these words most definitely didn't reach because I didn't believe them.
And so what changed? Did the words change or did you overcome the blocks or find affirmations that fit you better? What happened?
Well, it's more that's a whole like rabbit hole of things that I went down and went through and under and over and sideways and diagonally squared to get to a point where I could let it in. So that's also perhaps where the RTT journey came in and the Mind Valley and all the documentaries I watched and The Secret and all of those things being aligned with it and finding that within yourself and shifting that, which took a lot of work and a lot of experimentation, a lot of failure and self-doubt and a lot of things as well. But eventually, in the past 2 years, getting to a point where it actually reached inside. Yeah.
That's absolutely astounding. And when you say when it's actually reached inside, how would you describe the feeling?
I would describe it as you feel worthy, you feel deserving, you're allowed to let it in because at the end of the day, I believe we don't give ourselves permission to let it in. We're not deserving of it. We're not worthy of it. So it felt really good to finally let it in. I'm still letting it in. It's still a process, but I've come a great deal further than where I was before. So I'm still feeling it, if that makes sense. The feeling is still coming, still developing, but it feels good. It's just not 100% settled, but it's getting there. And then the springboard for growth and moving forward is coming.
I totally understand that. You know, you talk about this internal resistance, and there's also this extra layer of if I say those things and I start to believe those things, if I then verbalize that this is how I think and feel about myself to another person, the kickback of that in itself is sometimes quite a drawback, if you see what I mean.
I definitely agree. But for me, in my case, it was more I realized that a lot of the insecurities and everything was just a whole bunch of projection because I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I was worthy or deserving of it. And it came from like many different sources, but it's because when people would say things like, oh, you can sing very well, or you can do this well, you can do that well. And I'm like, no, why are you lying? Stop it. And so it builds up on the resistance because ultimately the resistance was all in myself. That if anybody was trying to get me to acknowledge the good aspects of myself, I just couldn't see it because I felt that was a complete and utter lie. So getting into a place where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm actually okay at what I do and I don't have to keep on proving myself over and over. I'm still in that space where I feel I need to prove it or I'm not quite there, but I can actually let it in. I remember I mentioned when we had a brief chat the other day, like somebody said, oh, your voice is so relaxing and I can feel calm. You're very good at this. And I'm like, what pips are you smoking? I would love some of them. But when more and more people echoed what she said, I'm like, oh, people are actually benefiting from what I do. And it's just like I had this thing of like, you hear your voice in your head. And it's like, I've got this weird, squeaky, high, whiny voice. So I don't understand what you're talking about. But then it works for you. Then it must be true. So then maybe I'm wrong. And I hate being wrong. I absolutely hate being wrong. But this is a kind of wrong, which is a good thing. So yeah.
I like that. The kind of wrong, which is a good thing. That's definitely good. So you mentioned the RTT, right? And that's something we definitely have in common. Tell us more about your RTT journey. And if you could start with just explaining what RTT is, because not a lot of people know yet.
Yeah, so RTT is basically amalgamation of various techniques and tools used in hypnosis, hypnotherapy, NLP, and CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's using some of the tools which are best suited for change. And we use the hypnosis, getting somebody into trance so that you can access the subconscious mind, getting you into that alpha state and hopefully a little bit deeper. If you allow yourself to go deeper, then it can go and access the subconscious mind. So the whole purpose of RTT is to help the client uncover the root cause of the issue and to help you work through memories. So the regression work. So looking back at the past, where does this come from? Where do you, for example, feel that you weren't good enough? Or perhaps there was abuse in the past or other things in your past that shapes who you are today. And this helps you uncover that. This is the aim of the process. And then what I like about the RTT is that during the process, you are, quote, so to speak, in charge in uncovering what it is. I don't like the word digging. I know a lot of people say digging. I don't like that word. I like uncovering because you're revealing the aspects of yourself that you were previously not acknowledging. You're acknowledging it. You're working through it. And if there were aspects that need to be addressed, for example, speaking to somebody or dealing with an issue, taking back your power, because this is what the aim of it is, helping you take back your power, acknowledge yourself, acknowledge your experiences, and then also through the work, turning it on its head so that you can take on meaningful suggestions and beliefs that are going to help move you forward in life to where you want to be. And in doing so, you are, because I feel sometimes we give too much credit to the client because we're just there to guide you, to help you through the process, but you're actually doing all the work. You're taking back your power, you're acknowledging yourself, and then we just gently guide you there. And then also at the end of it, you have a transformation recording that helps give you like voice to what you want. Yes, so that's basically all of it in a nutshell. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining it. So tell me, before I tell you what happened to me yesterday, tell me what happened. So when you first encountered RTT, did you have any sessions?
So how it started with me was that I was very much into Mind Valley for the past 2 years. And Vishen Lakiani was putting out all of these webinars and things like that. Junkie, that's me, webinar junkie. I think I'm subscribed to I'm subscribed to so many newsletters and things. So like I'm always ODing on all these things anyway. And then one of hers was up and she was talking about the RTT and the work. And then I think it was most probably one of those being enough, because that's her catchphrase, Marissa's catchphrase, I am enough. And when I saw her webinar that Mind Valley shared in my inbox, I thought this is very interesting. I wanted to look at it and go into it because I always wanted to do psychology, psychiatry, and all of these things, but I wasn't in a space to do it. So I thought, let me try some of this and see if it works. And then I tried some of the hypnosis sessions, and then I took out this membership with Mind Valley. I did her RTT course. I think I did both of them, the one for the abundance and then one for the other things. But I'd done like 15 of the courses. I can't even remember exactly what was in the course. But I tried the recordings and I did the work, and I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to guide them. I've always wanted to do this kind of work, helping people overcome these sort of things. But I knew that I had to be in a place where I could work on myself, heal aspects of myself, do the work first, because that's how I am. I try the things first, and then only then do I try and get other people to do it. So I tried everything first. It helped me open up a little bit more. And then I thought, I really want to do this work and help others do the same and overcome things that are holding them back.
I'm very much with you. If I'm going to do something to help someone else, I'd like to try it myself first. Yes, definitely. So that was kind of how you encountered RTT. Now, I am intrigued to know if you actually had any sessions while you were training where you were the kind of client, so to speak.
Yes, I had quite a few. When I started training, my mentor suggested go onto the platform, go onto the group, ask people for sessions and all of that. And I'm used to be one of those people. It's like, I don't like asking for help. I don't want to ask people for things. I don't want to waste their time. So I thought, okay, if there are people who are willing to do it, that's fine. So I went onto the group and then I put out a post. And I think I had 3 or 4 sessions. So I just started the training, and then I took my mentor's advice. And the first session was very nice. The lady was very nice and understanding and calm, very sweet Asian lady. Shame. And she was very generous with her time. And then what happened was you usually just have the 3 scenes. But what happened with me, it was like something opened up. And then it just was like this spring, just like splashing forth and like releasing and opening up. And that poor woman listened for me for 2 hours straight, just going on and opening up and releasing. And it was like very good. It was the first time I like really opened up, and it was just like this flowing, bubbling forth and just everything like that. Because I've gone in psychotherapy, I've been to a psychiatrist and all of that. And it was nice just to open up and everything like that. So I think most of them were very good experiences. I was very enlightened. I was opened up. I gained much awareness about myself. So when we do the work, it's important to be aware of your own internal state and voice how I'm feeling, because you are always in control of the session. And then we are trained to always acknowledge, validate, and acknowledge your experience and go forward in a way that you are comfortable, that you feel supported and understood. And then it's always important to also have a round off. And we must always voice yourself, because we are trained to listen to you, acknowledge your needs. And obviously in life, we train to not express ourselves or give voice to what we're feeling and experiencing, even in a therapeutic situation, be it with an RTT practitioner, be it with a psychologist, be it with a psychiatrist. You must always feel safe and welcome to say that you feel it's not working for you, or you need to pull back, or you need to have something acknowledged, because your experience matters. And it's important to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Yes, totally get that. So if I put into a little bit more context that you are a trained RTT therapist.
Yes, that's right.
So just to kind of exactly what you said is absolutely right. It's almost like a different way of working with a client. It's acknowledging that the client has all the answers and they're probably embedded somewhere in their subconscious. And it's really about working with them to empower them, really. So thank you. Yes, so yesterday I had a session for about 2 hours, and the poor lady who you said had to listen to you. Yeah, I think I had a similar situation.
It's all good though.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it was phenomenal, and there are people that I've been working with on this side, and I have to say that I myself have been through various different types of therapies, talking therapies, CBT. I've been to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, over the period of my life. And I was always looked at as if I was something that was broken. And this is where I absolutely love RTT, because every aspect of it is totally telling you that nothing is broken. And if anything isn't as you want it to be, only you can be empowered to change that.
Yes, most definitely. Because with my diagnoses, big plural, because I don't know, I was misdiagnosed with generalized anxiety. And then it took a year or so. I think that was from when I was 14. And then it was bipolar. And then that was the one that stuck. But then I still had the whole long shopping list of additional things that was added to it. And also with that mindset that it's stagnant, it can't be fixed. You have to take medication for the rest of your life. And even with the medication, it's not guaranteed. It can't cure you. It can just manage the symptoms. I think I got to a stage where I was like almost F you to my psychiatrist. But obviously, I wouldn't encourage that. I would still say, stick with your psychiatrist, stick with your psychologist, and do what's best with you every step of the way that is best for you.
Agree. Yeah.
And acknowledge where you are and work with your psychiatrist or your psychologist and whatever, and do things accordingly to their recommendations and things like that. So personally, I felt this is not working for me. And then I dove into all the RTT, all the meditation, all the hypnosis, all the compassion, all the forgiveness, all the mind value, all the everything. And I went that way because I felt it wasn't serving me. It wasn't helping me. And I mean, since I was a kid, I remember my one counselor in high school, and it was a gentleman. And then he said, you're not sick. And then I was like, excuse the Greta Thunberg moment. I was like, how dare you? Sort of a thing. So I was just like, how dare you say that? Because in my mind, I felt he was denying my experience, but he wasn't. He was trying to be encouraging because he didn't want me to feel stuck. But in the space I was, that was the completely wrong thing to say. But where I am now, I can look back and say he was just trying to encourage me to see that I don't have to go the way of how I felt I would go, because my mom also has bipolar, and it was quite challenging for her, and it still is. And I was afraid that I would go that way. And that kept on looping in my head. And I realized at a point, this is not working for me. I don't want this. I don't want the labels. I don't want these things weighing me down. And yes, and then I just decided to take the step with RTT. So that was a springboard into other things as well, which also helped me. And even though I'm not 100% where I want to be, it's perfectly fine because I'm at least on the right path and taking the journey as I go.
Thank you. Yes, totally. And I fully concur with what you said. If someone is seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or if they are on a CBT program or talking therapies, don't stop that. It's critical that you carry on and assess where you are. But this is me talking from my experience, and that's how it felt like for me. And obviously your experience as well shows that different ages and stages, your readiness to be open to and accept a narrative reality is different, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And don't let anybody guilt trip you into needing to change, needing to address, needing to release, all of that. I mean, even us, don't let us tell you what to do. I mean, seriously, you're at your own stage of development, you're at your own stage of readiness. And as good intentioned as many people are from whatever side of the spectrum of psychiatry, functional medicine, allopathic medicine, Reiki, whatever your cup of tea is, don't let anybody try to tell you otherwise. It's your own personal journey, and you're ready when you're ready, and that's perfectly fine.
High five to that. Totally. And totally get that. Right. I am now going to move on. So You talked about the whole identity thing, right? And the labels. And you've mentioned what it was like for you having a whole shopping basket of diagnoses. When you look back now and you reflect on it, what kind of clarity do you have now when you look back?
I think the clarity, I realized that my words or my beliefs really shape who I am. And also seeking affirmation on the outside really does not work. It does not help. And you really need to address all these things. I mean, I let that dictate who I was back then. And I had all the things that I had done before. For example, when I was in high school, I did music. And then that was my identity. I was the musician. I was depressed. I was bipolar. I was this. I was that. I will always have anxiety attacks. I will always have problems. I was always have issues. And then I had another shift, and then I did drama, and then I was always stuck in my head. Now I was stuck in my head, but at least I was going into my emotions and into my body because I was a very technical musician. I played very well, but I mean, it's like I didn't feel emotionally involved in anything. When I did drama after high school, and then I got into dance and movement, and then that was releasing and expressing that, and then education and all sorts of stuff. And so it's a whole series and it's a whole progression of realizations of everything opening me up, trying new things. I was stuck in my mind. I moved into my emotional body. I moved into my physical body. And then I went back into my mind and my head and my spirit and everything like that. And at least I'm in a place now where I realize that I have the ability to guide my thoughts, guide my beliefs, step into my true authentic self, which I didn't know what that was. And to some degree, I don't quite know. But I know better because I know that I want to help people, I want to guide people and help them discover their true voice and their true selves and liberate that and bring that forth because I didn't allow that to myself. And I realize I am allowed to do that now. And also slightly random and off topic because it was my birthday on the 9th. And then it was like weird because for 15 years I didn't allow myself to enjoy my birthday. I thought it was attention seeking and all that stuff. And then I thought, you know what, I'm allowed to enjoy my birthday today. And then now what happened, I had this kind of like, oh my word, I'm allowed to be loved and accepted moment. And then it just sunk into me. I'm allowed to be accepted. I'm allowed to be loved. I'm allowed to accept myself and all of that. So I had all the things before, but then this just like sank into my body. Yeah, to go off topic slightly in tangents on every direction. But yeah, so.
I love that's amazing. And that is so amazing. Those moments when your body lets it sink in as well is big. That's huge. Oh, and belated happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, Shame, thank you. No, it's just because it's also to help people realize, because I almost said RTT. RTT, it's a good tool. It's a wonderful process. It's a wonderful means of making change. And it can be immediate. And sometimes you just need a little bit more time to let it in because it's all a process. I've been doing RTT on different things and it worked immediately for certain things when I was ready, when I was open. And I did the work, I did other things, I explored myself, I learned to accept myself day by day. And then you just get those days when things just like hit you and it just comes in and then you might backtrack, but it just keeps on coming and just keeps on going the more you give yourself permission to and you let it in. And the process is perfectly fine. You don't have to beat yourself up about it because I used to and I don't anymore. And that's the most liberating part of it because then it's just like with all of the work, nothing shifting and then all of a sudden, bam, it hit me and just felt really good.
I'm so glad to hear that. That sounds really good. I've actually got goosebumps right now. So it's all good. Oh, so it's interesting because you're talking so much about the inner work and how significant it is. And when you do something, practicing or trying something on yourself first is really important because RTT itself, we've spoken about this before, and it's incredibly sensitive work. And this is why you're working on yourself in order to be able to help someone else. Is that like a fair summary of how you see it?
Yes, most definitely. And it's also important to be gentle and kind to yourself because with this work, you are unearthing things from your past that might be painful, but it's also good because you're facing it. And it's important to learn skills and self-regulation and things like that, because there are all the things within the spectrum of a toolkit that RTT uses. But it's always good to explore other avenues as well, especially compassion work and forgiveness and all of that as well. Vishen did a very good thing with his forgiveness protocol and all of that. But all of these things can be worked into your RTT process as well. And I'm sure everybody must have heard this thing, especially in today's climate, because it's true and it's untrue at all at the same time, because facts don't care about your feelings. But in the case of forgiveness and compassion work and this kind of work, facts do care about your feelings, because when you're doing this work, and it's been proven that this kind of work really helps you address all of this and heal from it. Because with this work, you're acknowledging yourself because you don't give yourself permission to acknowledge yourself. And in doing this work, you're unearthing it, you're feeling it, you're sensing it, and then you're regulating, you're working through it and coming to...
It's almost like from the inside out sort of.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I fully get that. So on that note, you've told us that you absolutely are a Mind Valley fanatic, which is brilliant because that's an incredible source of information and learning. But what I'd like to know is, what would be the top 3 things that you think that people at any stage in their journey and any point, whether they're ready to do inner work or not do inner work or whatever it is, what are the 3 things you think that everybody should be doing regardless of whatever stage you're at?
I would say, as cheesy as it sounds, because everybody pushes it and they make it sound cheesy, gratitude work, as well as the compassion and the forgiveness. Because all of those tools, because you are aligning with the emotion, for example, of gratitude, because you are acknowledging that there is good in your life, that there is something, no matter how small, even if it's difficult and you don't feel it in the beginning, there are things to be grateful for, and you're allowed to give yourself permission. And also with forgiveness, forgiving yourself, because we always get ourselves in these positions and we're like, why are we still here? Why did we do this? Why are we still stuck? Why are you so useless? Why are you so dumb? All of that, forgiving yourself and forgiving others, and getting to a place where you can let it go and just being compassionate towards yourself. I think those really are the 3 main things.
Thank you. So I guess what my parting question to you will be is, if you could leave if you have, what question would you like to leave out there for the listeners, for them to mull over either now or whenever they're ready?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I would think the question would be, why do you feel you're not worthy of it? And find out the reason why and prove it wrong. I just wanted to share some experiences with some clients that I had, because in the learning process, when I first started learning, I was looking for people to work with, and I posted something on a Facebook group somewhere, and I had another lady, and she's a voiceover actress and she does acting on screen and stuff as well. And she actually, the day before, I had a session with somebody who was like a coach, and then she was giving out a free session, and I felt so bad. I felt so guilty that I wasn't able to answer what she wanted me to answer or give what she felt I wanted to give. And I just burst into tears, and I felt so bad and guilty. And she said, no, it's fine, Peter. You're not wasting my time. I offered you the session. I'm happy to give you of my time and everything like that. And I was like, no, but no. And she says, no, it's fine. And then she did like a breathing exercise with me to calm me down. And then the next day, I had this lady, and shame, she was like a mirror to who I am or was at that time or in that space of time. And then I gave the session. I wasn't qualified at that time. It was just a practice session. And then she was like, I feel bad. I can't give you anything. You gave me your time and everything. But I said, this is practice. And I learned so much. And then she burst into tears, bless her. And I was like, you're exactly like me. And I saw myself in her, and I thought, is this actually how I'm coming across to people? Because this is how she's coming across to me. So she was a mirror. She opened my eyes to how hard I am on myself, how I am so unforgiving, lacking compassion for myself. And even like in generosity, when people give it to me, I'm not accepting it. And then I see how it comes across, and I am able to see the good in what I do and the good in myself. And also since then, a lot of my clients have been like a mirror and an opportunity to see something beautiful in people opening up, people healing, people becoming aware, and also teaching me compassion as well. I mean, I had another lady, she had to do something. I completely don't agree with it. But I'm looking at this woman and I think how, because, you know, when you're in that position, you obviously have no place to judge because you still have your beliefs. But I'm looking at this woman and I think, you know, she's done something I don't agree with, but she's experienced so much pain, so much anguish, judging herself that it resulted in all these physical problems and things like that. And she taught me a real lesson in love and compassion and understanding. You learn so much from your clients and those you work with. And I could share like lots and lots of fun, heartwarming stories, but I'll just finish off with one thing that is so beautiful. Like a lady, she didn't feel loved and accepted by her father. And it was a very strict family. And because of the culture and all of that, you don't express it and show it. And her love language was touch. And it was withheld from her, from many people in her life. And then one of the tools is you talk to the person who hurt you or didn't do what they were supposed to do. And then she spoke to her father. And then I said, would you like to ask him for a hug? And then she said, yes. And she actually took the couch pillow and then she held it. And it's a lady in about her early 50s. And it was just like seeing this radiance come across her face that just took like years off of her. And she's went back into that childhood state where she could feel the love of her father in the way that she needed, that she didn't get. And it was just like, you know, one of those days of our lives moments, almost kind of, but you could feel it. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh, it's on Zoom and all of that. You can't feel it. You can feel it and you can sense it and you can see it and it's just this opening of her whole body and her whole being in that moment, and just seeing it. It was like one of the most beautiful moments I had working with people, and I'm really actually so grateful for it. It's a blessing, actually.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing those. They're really, really, really important. And also, like you said, is each one of those taught you something about you.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, that's something I feel like is lacking because we sometimes don't understand that you don't have to be triggered by people. You can actually accept that the trigger is almost like a knock to say, turn inwards. Something needs some kind of attention.
I love that. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Eternal Paradigm. Join me next time.